Ladies and gentlemen, I've just finished the Master Mode run-through of the new Blades event, and I must say, I think this might be the most difficult Master Mode that we've ever had in Marvel Contest of Champions. Maybe comparable with the kind of Iceman one that we had just after the 12.0, but this one, it's going to be tricky, very, very difficult for a lot of people. So right off the gate, I wanted to kind of get out a Master Mode Pro Tips video and talk about the various options you have for dealing with Morningstar and also Mephisto, because Mephisto, crazy champion. A lot of people are not going to have a very good time fighting that guy for sure, and we'll talk about a little bit why as we get into the video. So I'll walk you through chapter by chapter. So in the first chapter, the final boss is Mordo. Now, the only difference with this Mordo is that the main thing is that he has a buff called Cornered. So this means if he has any sort of damaging over time effect on him, so like you bring a Bleed champion, for example, he's going to gain 100% increased power from all sources. So yeah, you ideally don't want to bring any champion that has bleed or damage over time when fighting Mordo, or else you're going to have a lot more power to deal with. But it's the first chapter. He's only like just below 7k, so yeah, really isn't too bad. And then in the next chapter, we have one of the brand new champions. We've got Blade as the final boss. Now, Blade is kind of I would say, if in terms of fighting him, he's like a mixture of Elektra and Punisher, with Elektra's Special 1 and Punisher's Special 2, but a little bit worse than Punisher's Special 2. So yeah, Blade, also, so what you want to do in terms of like fighting him and baiting special attacks is the Special Attack 1, and it's pretty much exactly like Elektra's Special 1. He kind of does a kick and then throws 2 glaives, so you have the option of like evading both of them if you're fairly used to doing that with Elektra. It's not too difficult, and then his Special 2, you just want to try and avoid getting him to his Special 2 where possible. But also, Blade will do this thing potentially if he's holding block at all, and he's below 70% health, he's going to start to regenerate. So it depends, you know, how you're playing, and if you're blocking a little bit too much, you're probably going to see quite a bit of regen on that fight. But yeah, just use a strong damage output champion, or something like a Yondu to heal block, and you're going to have a pretty easy time with Blade. I would say Guillotine for the heal reversal, or you could maybe activate one of the soul boosts that reverses the healing, but yeah, not really too sure that's needed. He only has 25,000 health, so he goes down pretty quickly, and that is the end of the first chapter. So we jump now into chapter 2. So the first boss in chapter 2 is a Guillotine, and she's really, really easy. She just has the unblockable Special 2, so, you know, just outrange the Special 1, outrange the Special 2. Easy fight, easy game, easy life. But then we move on to the second part of this chapter, and there is a Morningstar as the final boss. So this is the first Morningstar you got to fight, and both Morningstars, so what they have as one of their passive abilities is they have a 50% chance to bleed when you hit them, but this one actually doesn't. She needs 1 soul to have it, so this one doesn't have it, but the second one I believe has it. So when they have 1, I think it's like captured soul, and when awakened, they start with 1 captured soul. Then every attack that you land has like a 50% chance to bleed, and that will just absolutely wreck you on the second one. But yeah, so just keep that in mind, that you'll need to bring a bleed immune character. But just remember, it's not for the first one. It's only when she has 1 captured soul. But anyway, this one has special lock 1, so attackers suffer from power lock, so you can't go any higher than your special 1. But also she has strike back, so really you don't really want to use any champions that rely on special attacks, just the ones that kind of rely on pure brunt damage to get her down. And then just I take the tactic of, you can either bait the Special 1 and outrange it. It's very much like King Groot's Special 1. In the case of its Wrecking Ball, it slams down, she kind of tassels over her head. But yeah, you just outrange that, and when she, you know, slams it down, that is the time to kind of go in and get your in there. And then the Special 2 is evadable. It's very much like kind of like Iron Patriot's Special 2. You just need to time it right. So it's not too hard to get down after a few tries, you know, if you are evading the special attacks on Morningstar, and don't get her to the special 3 or you will die. So yeah, don't really try not to use any special attacks on that one, but you know, if you are, just be very confident evading the special 2, or just make sure you're at that level of confidence before using special attacks. And then we move on to chapter 3, and we talk about the let's have a chat about the first Morningstar, because this one was played slightly a bit differently to the other one because of one of the nodes she has. So on this Morningstar, this one is a massive ball lake, so attacking her is going to cause your champions bleed damage, and it's quite a bit of bleed damage. It's certainly not much that can, like a Wolverine would struggle to out heal it. So yeah, you're going to die quite quickly if you don't bring a bleed immune champion. So ideally, I think some of the best options for this one in particular, either Iceman or Ghost Rider. I think those are probably your MVPs there. Something like an Ultron would work quite well. Also, but as well as that really annoying bleed when you attack into this Morningstar also has a node called Power Reserve, which means that special attacks for both champions cost 50% less power. So instead of when using her special 1, it drains fully the special 1, it's only going to be half a bar of power. So yeah, a lot more special attacks from this Morningstar, and that's why I think Ghost Riders are quite a good matchup, because you can just, you know, use a few judgments like the heal, the fury, the bleed, and then use a special 3. Then you can have a really long power lock on the Morningstar if you just want to go in. But also, you know, if you can play quite aggressively and you like playing Iceman, like he's a fairly decent option for this, but you will need to avoid a lot of special attacks. So yeah, that's a really tricky Morningstar for kind of a lot of players to get through. But just remember, guys, bring a bleed immune champion, or at least a couple, or you are gonna might have a bit of a difficult time. And then finally, we have the Yaboy Mephisto as the final boss of this Master event. And this dude is the biggest pain in the ass. So, from hitting Mephisto, you have a 16% chance to proc a Burning Aura around him, which stacks. And I think it lasts about, I think it's 8 seconds. Maybe not quite 8 seconds. I think it might be 4 to 6. But essentially, he'll have like a fire debuff on him, and around the character, you'll see a Burning Aura. And if you go within that aura, you take Incinerate damage of 600 every second. Now, I thought your boy Vulture was going to be the answer to this, but I tested him earlier, and because it's not actually an Incinerate debuff, it's just Incinerate damage, Vulture doesn't work. So it means that the only option at the moment available for most players is an Iceman. So a 3-star Iceman will work, or aside from that, you could use your top champion, but again, you need to get out very quickly, and it's going to be a significantly slower fight. So yeah, just keep that in mind in terms of your champion choice. So yeah, he also plays very aggressively, so he's quite easy to intercept if you are used to doing that stuff from some of the harder endgame content. And what else does he do? In terms of Special 1 and Special 2, they're both quite easy to deal with. You just outrange them. One thing to bear in mind in terms of his power is that while he has his Aura of Incineration, the flames going around him, he is going to be gaining an increased power, like just passively as well. I think it's like 7% of a single bar of power, like every second or something like that. So his power is constantly going to be ramping up, so you don't want to push him, you know, much over the Special 2. So yeah, just keep that in mind. And then also the final thing is for every soul that Mephisto has. Now Mephisto gains his souls every time he kills your opponent. So if you go like in a few times and die, this is going to go up to a maximum of 6. And when he reaches 30%, he regenerates 10% of his maximum health for every stack that he has. So if he's got 6 stacks, that is going to take him all the way up to 90% health. And yeah, that is a massive pain in the ass. But I believe you can completely prevent this healing, not reverse it, but prevent it, because during this healing phase as well, something to bear in mind is that he's completely immune to damage. So yeah, just kind of back off like you would if you're fighting a Phoenix, if you're used to that. But yeah, once you see the heal, you just gotta back off, because he's going to be completely immune immune to any damage. But there is a soul buff that reverses healing, but I believe if you have that active, it just completely stops the healing. I haven't tested that out for sure, so I don't know for certain yet. But I believe, you know, in theory, that's what should happen. I don't really see it behaving any other way. But, we'll have to find out. And in terms of these boosts, these are really, really good to have active. So I think the best of the boost, in my opinion, is is it the Shadow Soul boost? No, it's not that one. Just trying to find the one. They've all mixed up in order. So it's the Relentless Soul boost. This one is by far my favorite one, and I think it's the best to use overall. So the Soul boost will grant Fury Armor Up and Health Steal when below 25% health. So the health steal is absolutely huge on this buff. Having this active, and it lasts for 15 minutes. And, you know, you get a load of these souls by either selling your soul, which apparently has no consequence apart from the title, or, you know, doing the heroic. And if you've done the heroic 100%, you're going to have a big old stack of these. So, yeah, get quite a few of these, as that means whenever you get to 25% health, you can start regenerating and healing up a little bit. And, you know, it has that buffer. Whereas there's also one that, you know, grants the same buffs while you're over 75%. This one, I don't know, might be useful if you're going for a Legends run, if you want a little bit more Fury and Health Steal, if you're really, really going to be on the ball. But for the majority of players, like, you know, if you take a couple of hits and get below 75%, then that buff is, like, completely gone for that character for the rest of the quest. Whereas with the 25% one, you always have, like, this buffer of health to fall back on. So, yeah, I would definitely, like, suggest that one over. And then, yeah, apart from that, that's the Spectre one, which is the heal reversal one, which I think should be pretty good for Mephisto. And then, yeah, we just have a power start one, and someone that increases bleed and armor break, and yeah, there are a couple of others, but in all honesty, I definitely rate the Relentless one. I think it's a good safety buffer. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me know how you find this month's monthly event quest in the comments below. I guess one thing to bear in mind about Mephisto is that Mephisto appears to be Incinerate immune. He has a buff. He has something in his description about converting Incinerate into energy, so he might be able to counter himself in the final chapter. We don't know that for certain, though. That'll be a little bit clearer toward the end of the weekend, because he's coming as a playable character tomorrow. But yeah, potentially, you know, if you don't have any great options to deal with him at the moment, you have him coming out possibly might be a solution in this weekend's arena. Or, you know, you got the 4-star Iceman, which is going to be in 2 weeks' time. And I imagine the cutoff for that after this champion's release is going to go up by quite a bit. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching the Master Tips video. If you did enjoy it, feel free to smash that like button. That'd be greatly appreciated. Apart from that, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.